Kevin Love made it very, very clear to the Minnesota Timberwolves and to everybody involved that he was not going to sign with anyone after this upcoming season but Cleveland. So essentially it was a foregone conclusion that today's events that have been reported was going to come down. We understand it. I still find it unacceptable on the part of Minnesota. And as fond as I am of Flip Saunders, I'm very fond of Flip Saunders, drop the ball on this. There's no other way to slice it. They can sit there and they can come back and they can engage in revisionist history all they want to. But in the end, Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, and a protected 2015 first-round pick is not good enough for Kevin Love when you had the opportunity before LeBron James announced that he was going to Cleveland, even though he knew beforehand he was going. That's why Dion Waiters said that he got a call from LeBron James prior to his announcement. He knew what time it is. The bottom line is, if you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, you had an opportunity to get Harrison Barnes, David Lee, and Klay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, unless he becomes a superstar in conjunction with Anthony Bennett, does not measure up to what Golden State had to offer. Minnesota dropped the ball, plain and simple. In the end, their fault is Cleveland's game. Because I got news for you. With Paul George going down in Indy, it's really about Chicago. It's really about Cleveland. I understand Miami wants us to believe they're still in the mix.
I love it when you diss D-Wade.
I'm not.
I love it.
Listen.
Yes, you are.
First of all, that's my man.
You are.
I swear, don't do that. Don't do that because he's sensitive and he'll
take it that way.
D-Wade, I'm not doing that to you.
I love it.
I'm not doing that. D-Wade is a superstar when healthy. I have to see him healthy. I watched him deteriorate with those knees over the last 2 years. I have to see him healthy. If D-Wade is healthy, it's Cleveland, Miami. But without D-Wade healthy, it's Chicago and Cleveland.
Well, is D Rose healthy? That's all another question. Is he going to stay healthy?
But at least I'm able to look at D Rose in the summer and say, well, I'm looking at what I'm looking at.
Fair enough.
I got to be able to see. If that continues, it's about Chicago. It's about Cleveland. And right now, I got news for you. Based on Love, Kyrie, and LeBron, Cleveland going to the finals. Cleveland going to the finals.
My first reaction to this is a big wow. Because if you recall, when LeBron James first wrote his essay for Sports Illustrated and we reacted to that, when LeBron said he was going home, I feared that he was going south because I could not figure how he was going to take a 33-49 team that had just lost Lou Alding and C.J. Miles and Spencer Hawes, who went to the Clippers. You lose that from a team that went 33-49, and all of a sudden you're going to tell me it should be in the mix to win the East? No. But Kevin Love was, at that point, wishful thinking to me. I couldn't really see it because the Golden State deal was still on the table, and Kevin Love hadn't yet made his fateful public announcement, hey, I will sign with only one team, and it's just LeBron's team. Well, all of a sudden, can you blame Steve Kerr and company, and you know all the brass there, but if they're going to rent Kevin Love for a year, are you going to give up Klay Thompson? Seriously.
No. What I'm saying to you is that before LeBron decided to go to Cleveland, Golden State was on the table.
Yeah.
And there's a very legitimate chance. If you recall, Kevin Love had reportedly stated, this is what he stated, Golden State or Chicago. So just like he's committed to Cleveland and LeBron.
You say they dragged their feet.
I'm saying they dragged their feet and they had an opportunity to get him in Golden State. But I'm like, Golden State, to me, Minnesota should have jumped at that. I don't blame Golden State for holding off because I like what they have. But Minnesota should have jumped at that.
Okay. I wonder, you are in part blaming Flip Saunders for this. It sounded to me like the owner got involved, Glenn Taylor.
Possibly.
In the end, the last couple of weeks, and said, hey, if I'm going to lose Kevin Love, I at least want to get back the first pick in the draft, Andrew Wiggins, and a former first pick in the draft, and Anthony Bennett, and even a protected 2015 draft choice. At least I have some hope to sell to my fans when we lose Kevin Love. I'm with you. That's not near enough for Kevin Love. And what I don't understand is, why did Minnesota then hold Cleveland hostage and say, well, he says he'll only sign with you guys. We want more. We want Kyrie. We're going to hold out here and play chicken.
Because, to answer your question, they couldn't afford to wait, because if you're trying to build momentum for the upcoming season, how are you going to do that with a star who has already been on the record saying he no longer wants to play for you?
Yeah.
And if you're Flip Saunders, where you made the mistake, I say this respectfully because I respect Flip Saunders, where he made the mistake is that I would dare say Flip Saunders was entirely a bit too preoccupied with trying to become the head coach of Minnesota rather than being the executive he was hired to be, because you have to remember there were coaching candidates out there available, but Flip Saunders might have interviewed somebody, might have talked a good talk, but everybody and their mother associated with the NBA knew that Flip Saunders was playing the waiting game, trying to convince Glenn Taylor that he wanted to be the head coach, because Glenn Taylor was of the mindset that I hired you to be an executive. I'm giving you this is the insider talking to you now. The Glenn Taylor basically said to him, look, I hired you to be the executive. I didn't hire you back to be the coach. But Flip Saunders has something to prove, because the man can coach. He is skilled and knowledgeable about the game of basketball. And he wanted to prove, based on his exodus from Washington, that he could still do this on a coaching level. The problem is you may have been a bit too preoccupied with that and dropped the ball as an executive in terms of getting rid of Love for the most, as opposed to, in this case, for something that I don't believe measures up to anything that Golden State had on the table.